From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hello and welcome to Around Foxborough, the show where we talk about the people, places, and things that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. My name is Marc Rivard, and I'm pleased to have as my guest today somebody you may know. You might have seen him around town, maybe playing his guitar up on stage. Jim Politano, the bassist and founder of 36 Red. Welcome, Jim.
Very nice to be here, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on the show. So, for those who don't know and may not have heard the story, tell us a little bit about how you became a musician, because it's a very interesting story. A lot of people like to know how somebody picked up that guitar in the first place and said, I want to start a band.
Well, for me, it started very young. When I was in junior high, I started playing the piano, and eventually that led to playing the bass because I thought it was a cooler instrument. And I always felt that a bass player was going to have a job. I always felt that I'd have a job gigging in some format, and I guess it worked. I rolled the dice and it worked.
Yeah, the bass is, you're in the pocket, the bass and the drummer, that's the foundation of the band. The guitarist is the flashy guy, the singer is flashy, but the bass and drums, that's it. You don't have the backbeat, you don't have a song.
No, you got to hold down the fort somehow. So it's kind of my role behind the scenes, except doing things like this.
Of course, yes. Well, those of us who can't play, listen, and appreciate music. To be honest, I do have a bass guitar, but I haven't picked it up in years, and I'm not very good. But
I think you should pick it up right now, and we should jam.
That would really not. We'd never see this air on Foxboro Cable Access. As soon as I start playing, forget it. I think I could play one song like "Smoke on the Water" back in the day, but
everybody can play "Smoke on the Water."
See what I mean? Exactly. That tells you my skills.
Yeah.
So you went from piano to bass. Were there any bands that you really loved growing up that or bass players you want to talk about? Because I can talk music all day. I can talk bass players, rock bands, whatever.
Yeah, it's funny because right before we came on, we were talking about Kiss, and I really only had 3 favorite bands in my whole life, and Kiss was my middle one. And as a kid, you don't want to know the first one. The first one was the Bay City Rollers, so I didn't want to explain that one. And my final one was Journey. I just love Journey. With and without Steve Perry, I just think they're a great band, so talented. And the songs are so well written. So a lot of bass players that I like, obviously Gene Simmons, I enjoy the show. It's incredible, the production of it. Billy Sheehan from Mr. Big. So there's a few of them floating around that I really like. Geddy Lee from Rush. And I'm not a Rush fan because I don't like the voice and I don't like some of the songs, but he's a great bass player.
Yeah. Another one I can think of is Chris Squire from Yes.
Oh,
the late, great Chris Squire.
Yes is incredible at every instrument. So.
Yeah.
They're one of those bands that's just absolutely flawless.
But Bay City Rollers, huh?
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, I know.
Now we're definitely not going to get aired on Foxboro Cable Access.
And it came up in my rotation driving home from work tonight. So
SATURDAY. Nay.
Yeah.
Is that part of 36 Red set?
So 36 Red got going probably about 13, 14 years ago. And I started it with, the members have changed a lot over the years. Most recently, the longest tenured member is Larry Smith, also from Foxborough. He's been with us for about 12 years now. And him and I have done, probably over 1,000 shows together. And since then, we've had a lot of rotation in the band. The lineup right now is really, really strong. Coming out of the pandemic, we did have to make some changes. People's lives changed so much that it was very difficult to come back to the commitment of the schedule that we have. And we knew that going in. So with the changes we had, we feel like we have a strong lineup right now. Larry's been there 12 years. Everybody else is probably, Jeff, our guitar player, has been there about 7 years. Everybody else is kind of within the last 2 years. So it's been pretty new for everybody.
Yeah, and I guess you must have did a lot of Zoom practices as opposed to in-person practices for the last year or so, until recently, I'm sure.
It was difficult for a lot of bands. We weren't one of those because we didn't feel like we could translate the product very well via Zoom. So we lost a lot. We tried doing it once, and I really didn't like it. It just didn't sound good, and it was a little funky to bring our live show to a Zoom meeting. So what we did instead was when the band would get together, we'd all Zoom in and we'd pick a couple of fans off our site to join us. just come in, have a drink, and ask the band anything you want. And it was fun. It really was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. I can
Yeah.
imagine how a Zoom jam session. I've seen some online during the pandemic. I know Sammy Hagar used to do it all the time. It seemed like
Sammy's were
every week he
great.
did a new one.
Yeah, Sammy's were very fluid, and he did a great job with it. With that, Vic and Michael Anthony from Van Halen, they did, and the sound was incredible. So I think they have better technology than I have right now.
I don't know how they coordinate it though. It's tough. I mean, you get people, talking at the same time. You're trying to coordinate on. I know this is state of the art technology, Zoom, but still, to get everybody in sync playing an instrument, it's hard enough to get people to communicate on Zoom, let alone.
I think Sammy did it like he overdubbed everything, like he was doing a record. So they would lay down the drum track, then the bass, and then the guitar, and then some of the vocals, and it worked. I mean, it sounded great. He was the best at doing it, I think.
Yeah, and he had Michael Anthony on bass, so
he's a good one too.
He's a very good one. He's one of the first concerts I ever saw was Van Hagar back in the day, and he was just phenomenal, just so fluid.
One of my favorites. Sammy is maybe the best live performer ever.
He's up there,
definitely. On a
definitely.
list.
I just don't want to talk about him too much because he was one of the shows that I was going to see last year and it got canceled.
Me too.
Pandemic. So
the last year at the old Xfinity Center, he had Night Ranger open for them. And our last show before the pandemic, we opened for Night Ranger.
And I was at that show.
Oh, at Six String?
At Six String, yes, I was.
Oh, there you go. So you have seen us.
Left of the stage, yeah.
Great. Yeah, it was a great show. Night Ranger is still absolutely smoking. Both guitar players, Brad Gillis, one of my favorite guitarists. Jack Blaze is another one of my favorite performers. They're a great band and really held it together over the years.
Oh yeah, and I got Brad Gillis to sign my album on his way out.
Oh, nice.
It was a great night. You guys were great too. Don't get me wrong.
You didn't ask me for my autograph on the way out. Well, you get it today. I'll send you one.
Well, when you play with Ozzy and you play with Night Ranger, then we'll talk.
Yeah. I give him a lot of credit. He stepped into a hard role with Ozzy after Randy Rhoads passed away.
Oh yeah.
So that was very difficult. Yeah.
But you guys have played with you opened for a lot of bands too, like Rick Springfield.
Yeah, we've been fortunate that we started doing rock and roll, and then we went into country when Toby Keith opened in Foxborough. And we were fortunate enough to get a lot of opening acts for country acts. But the last few years, we've gone back to our roots. So we opened for Eddie Money before he passed away, Rick Springfield, Night Ranger, Bret Michaels, shows like that. And that, to my core, that's what I love. I mean, the country people are wonderful, wonderful people. Very warm and very genuine. Just country's kind of not my thing. So I'm more rock and roll.
Yeah, I hear you there. I'm the same way, but country is a very popular. Yeah. And I have a lot of friends in high school that have bands, and some of them have actually joined country bands because that they're getting work, like you said.
Yeah.
Bass player can always get work. Well, if you can play a bass and country band's looking, why not?
Oh yeah.
Right? It's music.
Yeah. It is music. When you start, when you hit the stage and you're playing something for people, and especially coming out of the pandemic, we found that people are so desperate just to get out and hear live music again, that it doesn't matter what you're playing. I'm just happy to be there. I'm happy that we're back on the map. I'm happy that you and I are talking music right now. I think that's great.
Yeah, you get to play at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, we did play the Super Bowl. That was, I guess that would be the pinnacle of our career. I don't know if we're going to get back to that one.
You never know. You never know.
Mr. Kraft, the year that they beat Jacksonville in the AFC Championship game, we got a call that night if we were available for a conference call the next morning, which of course I made myself available. And they asked us to do the rally before the team left. And then they sent a tour of us for the band and our crew, and took us to Minneapolis, and we did a couple of gigs out there, and it was incredible. It was just the best experience you could ever hope for all the members of the band, and I think for every local musician. I mean, we were receiving texts and calls and emails from every local band, just so happy that somebody did this. One of us did this, and I was glad it was us.
Look at all the great bands that have come out. We talked about some of them, and they haven't played the Super Bowl.
No, they have not. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I have
You got a notch on your belt right there.
Yeah, in my office, I have that contract hanging on my wall. I'm
Ah,
very proud of it. I hope that we made our community proud. I think we did. And I wish they could have won that year. That was the only thing.
I know. That would have been the icing on the cake.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So
Nobody can believe they lost to Philadelphia, but
I know. That made it even worse. The two Giants ones hurt a lot too, but the Philly one hurt a lot too. But hopefully we'll get back someday. We have done, we did the season ticket in Foxborough resident open stadium practice a couple of weeks ago, and that was great. And that was our first show back in the stadium. That was the first time the fans were back. And it had a special vibe to it. Everybody was just so hungry to be there, and especially us. We just felt so good walking in the door of the building because we've had so many great events performing and just being there socially. I'm a Patriots season ticket holder and a Foxborough resident, and I've been in that stadium and had some of the best moments of my life there. So it was very special.
and you guys also do a lot of good charity work too. Anytime there's a function at the Marilyn Robin Performing Arts Center, some sort of charity, you guys are always there.
We believe in our community. I mean, that was the one thing that we were built on. We're grateful that our fan base has come from that. That when we were starting out and had nothing and had no fan base, we would sponsor a baseball team or do something, a basketball team, something, hang a sign. The first thing that we did was we would hang a sign in the outfield at the booth. And if somebody hit it or hit it over, they get a free t-shirt. And it was a good way to get the band out there, but it was also a good way to generate some excitement in the community. And as years go by, we're still there. I mean, if we needed to do something tomorrow for Foxborough, we would be there to do it.
Yeah, it's a great community we live in. It's great that people want to give back to it. That's and that you guys do that is awesome because it's Foxborough.
We're very fortunate. We really are. We've been through a lot of communities, and I love the one I'm in, and I'm never moving from it. So I'm going to be a lifer here.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm good with it.
I'm not an original Foxborough person. I'm not a townie. I've been here only 20 years, but I plan on spending another 20 plus. I'm not a townie either.
I've been here 33, I think.
Well, that's a townie, I think. 33 counts.
Yeah, I guess.
I think after a certain after 30 years, if you're not a townie, what are you?
Yeah, true. That's it. I'm calling myself a townie from now on because you said it was okay.
I mean, how many people actually knew that you weren't from Foxborough because you've been here so long? You're part of the community. You're part of the fabric of this town. How many people knew you weren't?
My kids went through. I have twins that are 25 now, and they went through the school system. And I coached basketball and baseball for years. And again, you have to give back. You have to do something to make our community better. And I found that this year that I'm grateful that we have an opportunity coming out of the pandemic that we played at Sixth String the other night at Patriot Place. And there was a ton of people there, and they were all our friends and family that we haven't seen maybe since the start of this whole thing. It was a beautiful moment. It was a wonderful night.
Yeah, and people just love music. I mean, they'll come out for anything, especially after a year plus of not seeing any live music except on your screen. To actually be there in person, it's just there's nothing better. I love concerts. I have so many lined up, and I'm hoping they all come through. Unlike last year.
Yeah, because I feel like we're on the other side, and we got to ride this out. And the band's going to ride it out too. We have a full schedule coming up, and unless something changes and somebody tells us not to, we're going to play through. We're going to keep going through. We were fortunate that we weren't like a lot of bands. We didn't have the huge shutdowns because we have a good long-standing relationship with Mohegan Sun, and they opened last June, and we were right with them. When they were at 12% capacity, we played. And, and awesome. As things expanded, we had the ability to play with them. And there a lot of bands talk about the venues coming back, and for a lot of bands, the money's not the same and things like that. Mohegan Sun, with the venue that we play there, we never had an argument about money. I mean, it was never an issue. It was about bringing the product back and how we were going to do it. And here we are on the other side. And it's a great thing.
If you build it, they will come.
I believe that. I really, truly believe that. People want music back in their life.
Oh, I don't know what I'd do without it, honestly. It's just an important part of my life, and I'm sure a very important part for a lot of people.
Well, and I know you're going to have a good time in a couple of days. That I can guarantee.
Oh, am I going to a show or something? Did we talk? Oh, yeah, Kiss, right? That? Yeah, we can talk about Kiss. Yeah, why not?
For those of you that don't know, and sitting in the fourth row. and I'm very jealous. So.
Well, I figure it's the last time. Well, they say it's the last time, but
Yeah.
For me, it probably will be the last time I see that band.
But this last tour, I think, is going to last 10 years, so I think you'll be okay.
I'll be in my wheelchair going to see them in their wheelchair. Is that what you're saying?
Paul Stanley in a wheelchair. I'd love that.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So, Jim, tell us where we can see 36 Red next. Give us some dates.
Coming up, our next couple of gigs are private gigs,
Okay.
but our first public gig in September, we're playing in Laconia, New Hampshire, at the Tower Hill Tavern, and then the following weekend we are at Mohegan Sun, and then the following weekend we are very excited that we are opening a brand new club in Billerica called Playoffs. That September 18th is going to be the grand opening, and we're going to be playing that. And then in the fall we have Mohegan Sun is once a month. We have an event that we do called the Izzy Gala, which is normally in September. We missed it last year because of COVID. We're back in October, on October 16th. And again, it's one of those charity events that is stunning. You get to get dressed up. You go to this beautiful gala. You hear wonderful music. Rob Ninkovich hosts with us usually. And it's a lot of fun for a great cause.
That's great.
So that's the one. If you're going to go see us again, go see that one.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And hopefully we don't ever have to hear those words again because of COVID.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's something that will be relegated to the past.
I'm tired of that. I know you're tired of it.
It's just hard, It's because we've missed so much and we're trying to catch up.
Yeah, and it's difficult. I'll be very truthful that at the early part of COVID last March, that we were coming out of, like we talked previously, our last show before COVID was opening for Night Ranger, which was one of my favorite bands growing up. And for me personally, it was a thrill of a lifetime to get that gig. And the next week, the world shut down. And month or two into that, and I think all bands probably thought this way: are we ever going to come back? And what is it going to look like when we do come back? Our venues, we're not just reliant on the band coming back; we're relying on the venue staying alive and coming back as well. And we were fortunate enough that our major venues did stay open: Six String, Mohegan Sun. There's some other casinos that we do that made it to the other side, and we're very grateful. And a lot of bands didn't get that lucky. So we also will try to help other bands as well. If we can get them gigs, we want that lineup as strong as possible. Let's bring them in to do it with us.
And you know what? For everybody at home, my last concert before COVID was Jim's last concert, because I was at the Night Rangers show that 36 Red opened for. So
and that was a great night.
That was an awesome night.
They were awesome. That band was, and we were so excited, and we did, I think, 50 minutes before they went on. And for those people that haven't seen us before, we're a cover band. We do a little country, we do rock, we do classic rock. That night, we obviously catered to the 80s to try and adjust our set more towards Night Ranger. And it was a night that I couldn't wait to get off the stage because I was dying to see them come on and enjoy them. And they were great guys. They were very COVID cautious backstage, but they were wonderful people. Their crew was excellent to us. They're a great band. They're a great band, inside and out, good people.
And one of my favorite bands growing up.
Yep.
Always been a Night Ranger fan.
Yep.
So that was awesome. And to see them in a small place like that was incredible too.
Oh man. And I think if everything came back, like we talked about earlier, they were scheduled to open for Sammy Hagar during the summer. And I think they would have done Six String as a one-off, maybe the night before or the night after. And maybe we picked that gig up too.
Because they loved it. They even said how much they loved playing there.
They were very, very excited. It was the place was packed. I mean, it was a great vibe. Everybody was just having a good time. And, a week later, everything was over.
But it's coming back.
Yeah, it is coming back.
That's the key.
Absolutely. We're going to get Night Ranger back. Let's talk to Six String and get Night Ranger back.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I'm on that.
Awesome. I want that same double bill.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for that one too.
Or maybe Night Ranger could open for you guys.
Oh, that would be even better. I'll talk to Jack Blades about that.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over well.
That's great. So national acts, we have nothing scheduled coming up. We knew that was going to take a little while for in a lot of venues right now and not having opening acts. Just financially, everything has to make sense for the venue and the band. So we're trying to work with them, and we get it. If there's an act coming in, a national act, and they can't afford to have an opener or something, let's just ride the wave out until they're ready to have it.
Yeah.
hopefully in 22, everything's really back to normal and we'll have those opportunities again.
Yeah, I hope so. For your sake, the bands, all the bands' sakes, and also the venues too, because they suffered a lot. Many closed, and if you don't have a venue, it's kind of hard to see a show.
Yeah, and we are grateful, even in the community, that Sixth String made it to the other side. They're a very big venue and a big part of Patriot Place, and we needed them to keep going. And as much as I could, I would order out from Patriot Place all the time, whether it's Tavolino's or even Davio's. I went to a couple of times and ordered out during it. You have to support your own, and we're not done yet. We're not done doing that yet.
No, we got to support the local businesses. Absolutely, it's Foxborough.
It is, yeah, and we want to keep it exactly like it is, if not better.
You got it. Well, Jim, tell us where we can find more information about 36 Red.
You can find us on Facebook. Everything is basically under 36 Red, at 36 Red on Twitter, Instagram. You can just type in 36 Red. It's the number 6, so it's spelled out, the number 6, and then Red, R-E-D. And www.36red.com. Also, that has all our dates coming up. That is changing by the day, which is great. The calendar's getting fuller. I love it. And I see other bands filling up. It's very exciting.
That is so good to hear.
Yep.
Glad you guys are getting the gigs, and looking forward to seeing you guys play again very soon.
Thank you, Mark. And what time are you picking me up for Kiss on? I'll be ready.
I'll be posting the pictures on Facebook. I'll get Gene with the bloody face and everything. We'll see.
That's great.
Jim Politano, 36 Red. Thanks for joining us today.
Have a great night.
You too. And that'll do it for Around Foxborough. Have yourself a great day.